The United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, also known as the CF, is a core instrument that provides a coherent and strategic direction for all UN development activities in Lesotho. The CF assists the UN system in Lesotho in planning and implementing these activities, and also in mobilizing a spectrum of development partners beyond the United Nations. The CF is nationally owned by the government of Lesotho and is therefore anchored by national development priorities, the 2030 Agenda, and the principles of the United Nations Charter. The theme of the CF has been coined as Kalibilo Lanswege, an old Sesotho adage of one of King Moshoeshoe I's messengers, Nswege, who was one of his fastest runners, who was trusted to deliver messages quickly and effectively. The CF will strengthen coordination of development priorities while leveraging on all available resources, both domestic and international, private and public, to ensure that no Lesotho is left behind, because 2030 is soon approaching.
For almost 50 years, the United Nations has been supporting the government and people of Lesotho to achieve their vision of a stable, peaceful, developed, richer, and environmentally friendly democracy. But now, with less than 7 years to go to 2030, we are gearing up to accelerate the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals and to ensure that no one is left behind. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the government of Lesotho for co-leading the process of the development of the new cooperation framework, which will cover the period 2024 to 2028. This cooperation framework will guide the work of the United Nations with government and with partners for the next 5 years. 23 UN agencies, funds and programs will bring in their full expertise and comparative advantage to work collaboratively and with a much stronger coordination to ensure that no one is left behind. Furthermore, the cooperation framework has adopted a human rights and gender equality-based approach to programming. To this end, it means that the cooperation framework articulates the results of the joined-up thinking of the UN and the government, together with stakeholders who all came together to contribute to the strategic prioritization of the cooperation framework in response to national priorities. Our vision is that all Basotho, regardless of where they are, should enjoy full well-being as a result of enhanced economic development, strengthened equitable food systems, improved environmental sustainability and climate action, all grounded on good governance and social equity. We acknowledge that to achieve all this, we need a whole of society approach. We also acknowledge the urgency that is required and that we must move with speed to change the course of development in Lesotho. Ria mohela homata kalibelo la tswege.
In developing the cooperation framework, the UN in Lesotho and the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning implemented an inclusive process that brought together representatives from government, private sector, trade unions, youth and women groups, civil society, academia, development partners, and the United Nations. A series of stakeholder consultations were undertaken from the evaluation of the UNDAF 2019 to 2023, the development of the Common Country Analysis, and the CF strategic prioritization exercise in defining solution pathways. This resulted in the formulation of the challenges, desired changes, and capacities needed to support the Kingdom of Lesotho.
The new United Nations cooperation framework with Lesotho comes at an opportune time when the global economy, including Lesotho, is recovering from COVID-19. The cooperation framework is about building better systems for service delivery and indeed about speed in its implementation. The Ministry of Finance has been working closely with the United Nations in developing this framework. This framework was meant and it was made to be all-inclusive. In that manner, we worked with civil society, closely with the youth, with academia, with development partners, with the private sector, and with trade unions to develop the framework. Our vision is to leave no Basotho behind. In particular, we would like to reach the lives of Basotho who have previously been marginalized and who are in vulnerable situations. In this quest, we would like for every Mosotho and every sector and section of the population to be part of this initiative and bring on every effort that they can to make it work for all Basotho.
The 3 areas of focus emerged from the consultative process to inform the 3 pillars upon which the outcomes were formulated, with the supporting outputs and activities of this cooperation framework. The 3 pillars are good governance and social equity. This pillar recognizes the essentiality of good governance, social equity, and respect for human rights as a foundation for achieving a vision of a Lesotho that is politically stable, economically viable, whose people are resilient in the face of shocks, free from violence, and can access essential services and are self-sufficient. The UN in Lesotho will aim to support Basotho to strengthen good governance systems and institutions, work in partnership with the government for them to accelerate the implementation of laws, policies, and human rights commitments that affect people's lives and ensure that no one is left behind. Equitable food systems, environmental sustainability, and climate action. This pillar on food systems and environmental sustainability acknowledges the interconnectedness of the need of the nation to be food self-sufficient on the one hand and the dependency on natural resources such as land and water for resilience building on the other. The ability of the country and the people of Lesotho to find the balance and manage finite natural endowments in a sustainable manner that is mutually beneficial for both people and planet will be critical to the achievement of the government's priorities as articulated in the revised NSDP 2. The UN will focus on supporting the government to strengthen food systems that are equitable and that contribute to people's nutrition, health and well-being, restore, protect nature and are climate neutral and adapted to local circumstances and provide decent jobs and inclusive economies. People's well-being and economic development. The pillar on people's well-being and economic development goes to the heart of everyday life of people in Lesotho, especially the most vulnerable. Their ability to access essential life services such as healthcare services, good quality education, and engage in productive economic activity for self-reliance sit at the fulcrum of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and ultimately achieving the political, economic, and social stability that Lesotho needs. The government has committed itself to improving the quality of life for all Basotho through interventions that address poverty, deprivation, vulnerability, and inequality comprehensively and holistically. This pillar aims at focusing the efforts of the United Nations in Lesotho on addressing challenges of economic inequality that have caused the country, both urban and rural, to be in a situation of development distress.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you all. On behalf of the government of Lesotho, I would like to congratulate the United Nations in Lesotho for reaching the completion of the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework 2024-2028. The Cooperation Framework is a strategic planning document for UN program activities in the country, and all its pillars are aligned to the National Strategic Development Plan NSDP 2 2023-2028, which will focus on growth progression, social transformation, infrastructure development, and good governance. This new cooperation framework is therefore robust and is underpinned by Lesotho's development needs and has been designed to unlock and enable transformation of the economy and our communities. The government of Lesotho is a co-owner of the cooperation framework with the United Nations. This is the beginning of a new era of partnership, and we are committed to working together to deliver on sustainable development for all Basotho. Armatenga lebelo la ntshwege. Kgotso, pula, nala.
In 2006, Princesa and I founded Sentebale in Lesotho, a small landlocked country in South Africa. In Sesotho, the word Sentebale means forget-me-not. The charity was founded in honor of our mothers and symbolizes our pledge to always remember and advocate for the most vulnerable among us. Many young lives across Southern Africa have been impacted by poverty, inequality, HIV/AIDS, and lately COVID-19, leaving many children and young people caring for siblings, out of school, and with disrupted adherence to HIV treatment, to name but a few.
Sentebale puts the needs of children and young people at its forefront.
Our mission is to help vulnerable children and young people across Lesotho and Botswana have access to vital health services, receive care and support, and build skills to be self-sufficient and thrive. We have scaled up our operations across Lesotho and in 2016, based on the needs of young people, expanded into Botswana, delivering our holistic package of support focused on the social and emotional well-being for those children and young people coming to terms with living with HIV, and providing access to health services, youth advocacy, and building individual skills and livelihoods.
I've seen impact in the Sentebale programs. Maybe I would take us back to my first Sentebale camp. So during the camp, one of the attendants or the beneficiaries came to me and said, "I want to be as happy as you are."
Our contribution to these young lives and their communities is making a real and visible difference. And it is not down to us alone. It is thanks to our donors and our partners, and importantly, the determination and resilience of the Basotho and the Botswana people and their communities. Real change, big change, is possible when we all come together. Sentebale plays its part in contributing to that. We are looking for partners who genuinely care and invest in Lesotho and Botswana's next generation of leaders. So join us, and together we can continue to make a difference.